let's move to my NFL weekly top/disappointing performers segment. In this segment, I give the best performance of the week and also give my opinion on who had the worst performance of the week, player and team-wise. Let's start off with the players. The player that had the best performance of Week 8 is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow against an elite 49ers defense. Joe Burrow goes 28 of 32, threw for 283 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. The man completed 88% of his passes to only have 4 incompletions against a top 5 defense in the NFL. That was an impressive performance from Joe Burrow. That also was the best quarterback performance of the season so far for me. Joe Burrow had the best performance of Week 8 from a player's perspective. Now, the player that had the worst performance of Week 8 is Patrick Mahomes. Now, I know Patrick Mahomes was sick. He was a little bit under the weather, but he is Patrick Mahomes, and they did go up against the Denver Broncos, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, he went 24 of 38. He threw for 241 passing yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did throw a touchdown pass right in the hands for Scott Moore. Scott Moore just dropped the touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes. You could tell Patrick Mahomes was frustrated. You got to help your quarterback out in that moment, Scott Moore. But going up against the worst defense in the NFL, and the Broncos are not a good football team overall, I expected Patrick Mahomes to play better despite him being sick. And I guarantee he would tell you that same thing. So Mahomes and the Chiefs lose to the Broncos. The Chiefs also have a wide receiver issue. They don't have not one reliable wide receiver in that room right now. And that's a problem for the Kansas City Chiefs moving forward. I'll talk about that on Friday's show. But Patrick Mahomes had the worst performance of the week. Now, the team that I feel like had the best performance in Week 8, none other, can't believe I'm saying this, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals had the best performance of Week 8. And the reason why the Cincinnati Bengals had the best performance in Week 8 was because this was a game that the 49ers needed to win. The 49ers came into this game and they had just lost 2 straight. They lost in Week 6 to the Cleveland Browns. They lost in Week 7 to the Minnesota Vikings, and they were heading into their bye week in Week 9, and they didn't want to fall to 5-3 and have 3 straight losses as they heading into the bye. So this was a game where the 49ers needed to have, and the Cincinnati Bengals went into San Francisco, and they dominated the 49ers start to finish Sunday afternoon. It was a complete performance from the Cincinnati Bengals, offensively and defensively. So, to me, the Cincinnati Bengals had the best performance in Week 8. Now, the team that had the worst performance in Week 8 is the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders are a pathetic football team. Now, I keep telling everybody, Josh McDaniels is not the answer at head coach for the Raiders. When are they going to realize and understand in order to compete in the AFC West and in order to compete in the AFC, you have to get rid of Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels, since he's been the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, he's 9-16. 9-16. He's not a good football coach. He's a good coordinator, but he's not an NFL head coach. And the results have shown that in these first 2 years since he's been the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders were awful last night. Last night they didn't even have 200 total yards for the game. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even have 130 passing yards for the game. Devontae Adams got open 2 or 3 times, and Garoppolo couldn't even get him the football. So the Las Vegas Raiders, for me, had the worst performance of Week 8. Those are my weekly top/disappointing performers, player-wise and team-wise, for Week 8.